Barbara Perry, the Director of Presidential Studies at the University of Virginia's Miller Center, joins us now live to give us more information about the selection and what it means for the future of the Supreme Court. So, Dr. Perry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So if Judge Barrett is confirmed, President Trump will have picked 3 of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court, and he could potentially nominate 2 more if he's reelected and Justices Thomas and Breyer retire, making the court a 7-2 conservative majority. Will the Supreme Court be President Trump's defining legacy?
I think it will, definitely. Even if he's not reelected, putting 3 people on in one term rarely happens. I was just studying Jimmy Carter, for example, who was a one-term president and had 0 nominations in a term. Franklin Roosevelt, in his first term, had no nominations. So if no one leaves the court or unexpectedly leaves the court, presidents can be without. So he will have these 3 at the very least, it appears. And I think this will be one of his lasting legacies long into the future, not just the next generation, but several generations down the road.
And one of the issues, of course, front and center is abortion. Do you have any doubt that Judge Barrett would vote to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Just a bit of doubt, in the sense that it is a concept of the court to be restraintist rather than activist, typically, and particularly among conservatives, say that they believe in restraint rather than judicial activism. And so judicial restraint would indicate then that they would uphold the precedent of Roe v. Wade as it has been modified over these years. But my sense is that putting her religion aside, I think she simply has a strongly held personal view that abortion is wrong, and she probably cannot find a way legally to support it.
Judge Barrett has also criticized Chief Justice Roberts' opinion upholding the Affordable Care Act. Could health care as we know it again change?
It could indeed, since she is on the record opposing the Affordable Care Act, or so-called Obamacare. So it's very possible that that case, which is going to come before the court in oral argument in mid-November, should she be confirmed and placed on the court before or just after the election, she would have a vote in that case, to be sure. And it appears that she would vote to overturn in full, including the pre-existing condition element of the Affordable Care Act.
And some Democrats say they will press her to recuse herself if there is a contested presidential election and the winner is then determined by the Supreme Court. Do you think that's likely to become an issue?
I do, and it raises an intriguing one, doesn't it? And it would be somewhat similar to the Watergate tapes case from 1974, which really pushed Richard Nixon out of office. In that instance, the then Associate Justice William Rehnquist, who had worked for Nixon in the Justice Department, recused himself. But keep in mind, no one can impose recusal upon a federal judge, including a Supreme Court judge. He or she has to determine that for himself or herself. So no one can push it, but certainly the Democrats can argue for it.
So now, of course, the words of politicians on both sides of the aisle are coming back to haunt them. They're being used against them now. What do you make of Republicans refusing a hearing for President Obama's pick, Merrick Garland, but supporting the confirmation of Judge Barrett?
Right. Well, it does seem inconsistent, to be sure. The distinction that the Senator, I should say, McConnell draws is that the presidency and the Senate are held by the same party. So he makes that distinction between 2016. My issue from the beginning, because I believe the Constitution doesn't end the president's power anytime before 1 second after noon on the 20th of January, right after an election. So my view was always that both President Obama and President Trump have the power to make this decision. But my view for Senator McConnell was that his statement that it's the people who should decide who should be on the Supreme Court is in direct contravention of what the founders wanted. That was the last thing they wanted. They didn't even want the people to select directly the president of the United States. That's why we have an electoral college.
Dr. Barbara Perry, thank you so much for your insight tonight.
Thank you for having me.